This morning we are seeing intensive artillery and other weapons fire from Israel into the Gaza Strip, which is just around 2 kilometers behind me. Perhaps you can see some of the plumes of smoke we've seen in the past few minutes from inside the Gaza Strip there, and we're hearing intensive fire.
Abdel Hakim can now only survey his olive groves in Qusra in the occupied West Bank from a distance. The last time he set foot there a few days ago, he was threatened and beaten. There's always tension around the olive harvest in the occupied West Bank, but this year, with the spike in settler attacks, it's more tense than ever. Palestinians here telling us they're being pushed off their land. I've been a couple of times to the West Bank in recent days, and tensions there are certainly on the rise. We were filming yesterday in the town of Jenin in the northern part of the occupied West Bank, and there have been several Israeli military raids on a refugee camp there. Several people have been reported killed, arrested, buildings have been destroyed. We're on the flanks of Bakhmut, well within reach of Russian rockets. This is high ground overlooking the devastated city where fighters from the 57th Brigade have been mounting counterattacks. But the mood is hardly triumphant. Today we are filming with brigades on the flanks, the surrounding areas of Bakhmut. As you can hear, there's pretty incessant shelling since we've got here. They've been pushed back mainly outside of the city, and a really fierce battle is going on here. War has reduced these streets to a wasteland. Every day and night here is punctuated now by the sound of explosions as artillery pounds the outskirts of Ukraine's second largest city. We're in the heart of Kharkiv now, and the scale of the destruction here is clear. You can really see just how much damage was inflicted. The mayor of Kharkiv says that nearly 1,500 buildings have been hit, including over 100 schools and nurseries. You can't go very far at all across the city before you come across armed checkpoints or heavily armed Taliban fighters on patrol. An hour's drive west of Kandahar, every week opium farmers come to sell their harvest. Under the stalls, bags of opium paste, traders haggling for deals. As Afghanistan has slumped further into poverty, some here are taking heart-wrenching measures to survive. Fatima had to sell one of her 3 young children.
We were hungry. We didn't have anything to eat. My elder daughter was admitted to a clinic for almost 2 or 3 months.
We're 130 kilometers from the Libyan coast. 126 people, including 8 children. They'd been at sea for 18 hours. The migrants had risked it all to escape Libya. But as the sun sets, they're being taken back to Tripoli, where they don't know what fate awaits them next. We're told migrants here often throw themselves back into the water to try and escape. Libya's immigration brigades decide to take the men away to overcrowded detention centres. We've come to northeastern Nigeria, the birthplace of Boko Haram. It still has terror cells throughout this region and carries out frequent suicide bomb attacks. Ever since the huge fire ripped through Notre Dame, this ancient cathedral has been turned into a giant building site. Inside Notre Dame, the extent of the damage really becomes clear. You can see on the floor here behind me, that's from where the spire of the cathedral collapsed, fell through the roof and hit the floor on that fateful night. These were the most intense clashes between yellow vest protesters and police for several weeks. There were tense standoffs along the Champs-Élysées Avenue here. These clashes show there is still an anger simmering in France. There have been a lot of riot police deployed on the streets today, 3,600 around the edges of the Champs-Élysées area, which has been a target of protesters. I'm going to step aside and just show you some of the scene at the moment. There's a fire burning there inside the Jardin des Tuileries, and there have been protesters throwing rocks at police, the police firing tear gas back.
Catherine Norris Trent joins me now live from Paris with more on this. And Catherine, I was quite surprised that these nationwide mayoral elections are still going ahead as planned despite the lockdown.
Yeah, that's right, Linda. We know that turnout in these local elections so far as of midday French time was down markedly.